Hey everyone, I'm so excited to share with you all what I've learned about holistic health and what I've learned about holistic health in relation to my own life. Um, to get started, I kind of just want to go through what I have with you guys on my board. So I was born in 1997 in a family of four. I have a younger brother. I was raised Christian. I grew up Baptist. I was very busy. I played softball, volleyball. I danced. I was a bookworm. I love to read, I love to learn, and my parents always pushed me to do well in school. As far as money goes, growing up, we were very fortunate. We did get to play sports. We got to travel a lot. My parents spoiled us. We traveled a lot, whether it was with sports or to visit family, but we were on the go quite a bit. I did not sleep a lot when I was younger. I was a night owl, and I thought staying up till 3 in the morning was super cool. And then when I got into high school and had homework and just sports, I probably averaged about 4 to 5 hours of sleep anyway. I was always sick growing up. I had strep for 6-7 times. I got my tonsils and my adenoids taken out. I had recurring sinus infections. I was on antibiotics all the time. That kind of led into me getting yeast infections because of the antibiotics. I had migraines that only got worse over time to the point where I'd have to miss school or miss work or miss sports practice because of it. I got my first job as a lifeguard when I was 15. I got a second job as a server when I was 16. My parents got divorced my junior year in high school, and then after that we had no money. Neither my mom or my dad. We struggled for quite some time to find places to live and to try to make a living. I went off to college and I took a nutrition class my freshman year. It really opened my eyes on how beneficial just a diet of whole foods, fruits and veggies will do for you. I also learned about gut health in that class, and that was such an eye-opener. I had a friend who worked with a natural supplement company kind of targeting gut health, and after learning, I reached out to her, and she helped, kind of got me on track and kind of helped me regain my health after that, so that was super awesome. I started reading religious texts, and I started kind of reading about meditation, and I started doing yoga. I scored my first office job my second year, or coming out of my first year of college. It was my first 9 to 5 doing paperwork in an office. The week before I turned 19, I got my own apartment, or I moved out into my own apartment, and then right after that time, my second year at Metro, I decided to switch my major into integrative health. And just before I continue on, so what this board doesn't show you is just kind of who I was during all of this time, and from the outside in and from society's status quo, I was killing it. I was playing sports, I was keeping up in school, I was doing all the things, and I was traveling, and I got my first job when I was 15. I was working 2 jobs when I turned 16. I was just doing, and from the outside it looked great, but from the inside that was clearly not the case. I mean, everything I was doing, whether it was sports practice or homework or just hanging out with friends, I was coughing or sneezing, or I had a migraine, or I was tired. So I didn't treat myself well at all. And as far as diet goes, I grew up with a very Western diet. My parents red meat, corn and potatoes every night. And on top of that, when I got into sports and we started getting busy, it was fast food after practice. And I would show up to a volleyball tournament with powdered donuts and a Monster. So I really, really did not have such a healthy lifestyle. And anyway, so coming into 2018, I started taking this class, and it's just opened my eyes for the better. So I really learned the power of thought and the power of connection, and I listen to my affirmations every day. As far as money goes, I've come to terms with wealth meaning more than just the physical dollar bill. Time is money, health is money, the friends and the company and the family that I have around me, that is all money to me. So moving on, I've have a feeling of, or a sense of connectedness that I didn't have before. I've always loved helping people, and I've always loved befriending people, but after, my parents' divorce and after some hard comings in high school, I just was kind of this, like, it's me against the world, and I don't need anybody, and when I moved out on my own, that was definitely my attitude, and that's great to have that confidence and that independence, but we're social creatures by nature, so we grow faster, and we can grow taller if you just reach out to the people around you. I am still a bookworm, and I still love reading, and I still love to learn, but this class has really shown me the value of education, and because I've decided that time is money, it shouldn't matter how much time it's going to take me to learn the things that I need to learn, as long as I get there. So again, just a sense of connectedness. I really loved learning how to communicate your values in the terms of someone else's. I think that is a great skill to have. So as far as the environment goes, I believe that we've kind of lost our touch with nature, and whether that's more screen time or just more time inside, we need to get out, and so I pride myself, and I consider that part of my health. I do kickboxing now. I do kickboxing 3 to 4 times a week, and I love it. It's a great stress reliever. Basically, now what we have is we're sitting at my life right here, and I am in a major, or just the way I grew up, a very Western childhood. My holistic, integrative interests are not the same as my family's, and so for the longest time I have been living kind of in a facade a little bit, wanting to do certain things but holding myself back, kind of not wanting to be somebody that my family won't like or somebody that people won't like. So then let's jump up here. This is a representation of me. Each of these little stick figures is a different dimension of myself and also represents a different dimension of health. So we have the physical health and well-being, mental health and understanding, social life and community, financial health and freedom, relationships and family, spirituality, and service, vocation, and learning. They're all equally important, and they all deserve a little give and take here and there, hence the yin and yang for the balance. So anyway, as far as physical health goes, I've always been so active, but I ate like garbage, and I've really adopted a more whole foods diet, as least amount of processed foods as I can, and I love that. As far as mental health goes, I was a very, very negative girl. I was mean to myself. Through high school, I did not say nice things, and I see this through my memories on Facebook when they pop up, you shared this 5 years ago, and I'm throwing in cuss words and saying I'm gonna get you and just really mean things. I'm not that person, but clearly I had all these feelings. I felt some sort of way. But anyway, so mentally, I am not the same person. I was very negative, and then when my parents got divorced, it got worse. I got more in my own head, and anything that happened, I would just get so mad so quick, and I would stay mad for days, and I would let it affect everything I was doing. I was such a head case. Breathing techniques and yoga and just this positive psychology and kind of learning that challenges are where growth happens, I think has really been a huge thing mentally. And kickboxing, I'm telling you, it's a workout and a stress reliever in one. But as far as social life and community, I have always been such a friendly person. But the way I was raised, we grew up on a farm, kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. So as far as community goes, I just wasn't raised to be grown up. Like, I have friends and family, but as far as like just community, I feel like I didn't have that growing up. I feel like with being in college and just with my newfound values, it's something that I'm going to be creating around me and partaking in. And I think that's really important. We have financial freedom and health, and like I said, I grew up very fortunate. And then when my parents got divorced, we didn't have money. And so for me, it really just showed me, like, growing up, my family was very materialistic. I mean, I just think that in a sense that because the money was there growing up, that we lost our values. And then my mom and dad were the type that kind of stayed together for their kids. And so since they lost that connection, it kind of like moved into like not giving me and my brother like the feelings and the love that we could have gotten. I'm not saying we weren't loved, I'm just saying since they didn't love each other, you know. Anyway, so like when the money wasn't there, it was really hard for all of us for a while. Like it's almost like we all hated each other when that should have been the time where there was the most love. Anyway, but for me, I've come to terms with wealth is more than just money. So I think that's super awesome. I scored an office job, 9 to 5, pays super great, works well with my school, but I have to work 40 to 50 hours a week for this job, and the money is there, but I'm trying to do well in school, and because I had to work so much this semester, my education took the beating for that, and that's fine because I kept the roof over my head and I kept food in my mouth. But anyway, this class has just showed me that there really is a better way, and it's up to me if I want to make it. So financial health, and then we have family and relationships. Like I said, so I was close with my family, but I wouldn't say I can tell them everything. So I was never taught to be vulnerable, and in fact, when I have been vulnerable in my past, for example, when my parents got divorced, my dad kind of went MIA for a while, and just it was a really hard time. He was not really there, but I wanted him to be, and I missed him, and I was working, and he called me. I was serving, and I went outside to talk to him, and I told him that I missed him and that I missed his cooking, and his words were, okay, just come talk to me when you can grow up. Like, so I was telling him I missed him. It was so hard for me. I remember to say those words, like, I miss you, and he responds with, like, okay, call me when you're grown up. So I wasn't really raised to be vulnerable. I was raised to have a very tough shell. But that is not the case. I mean, we're all here working and making it, like, we're all here struggling and working and learning and doing the same things. So I just don't think we should be so quick to judge. But anyway, so family and relationships, it was kind of rough growing up. I didn't really feel like I could be open. But just by reading information in in the values factor and just learning about how you should be communicating your values in terms of another, it's just really showed me how to better my relationships. And as far as forgiveness goes, life is too short and you have to forgive for yourself, and that's something that I could not grasp onto. I was the grudgiest person, but I've rekindled a relationship with my father, and I've kept a good relationship with my mom, and I've started talking to my brother again, so great things to come. As far as spirituality goes, like I said, I was raised Christian, so religion and God has always been an idea that I grew up with, but so we went to church growing up, and I was raised in Sunday school, and I went to VBS, and all of that was great. But then as soon as we started getting busy, we stopped going to church. And yes, you don't need to be, you don't need to go to church to be religious, but it's just kind of like God is a thing, but he wasn't like as important as he should have been if we were a religious family. And so it was kind of easy for me. Like I always believed in the idea of a higher power, but really started questioning that like my senior year, beginning into high school. And like I said, that's when I started reading other texts and getting into meditation and just kind of expanding. I really did not like the idea. Like I love the idea. So religion, it's you're supposed to love everybody unless you don't believe in the same God as me, then I hate you. And yes, that's not how it's supposed to be. Like in the Bible, God loves everybody, but why are religions are fighting and killing each other because they believe in different gods? So that just to me was so hypocritical. Couldn't grasp onto that, and so it really just made sense for me to kind of turn to myself, turn to the inner power in myself. And now, vocation, service, and learning. This is probably the dimension where I grew the most in this class. So, like I said, been very busy my whole life. I've always kept up with sports, school, work, all of it. But I was so run down. It's not the way to live. I was not taking care of myself at all. And half the things I was doing, I wasn't doing for myself. I was really only doing it because I felt like that's what my parents wanted me to do. But not anymore. I did move out when I was 18, and I have lived alone my 2 years of adulthood, and I applied for college on my own. Like everything I wanted to do, like every big step I've made in my life, essentially I did myself. And once I realized that my family will love me, I realized this too. Anyway, I've just gained a confidence in myself that I did not have before. I am going to college and I am studying integrative health, and I love to help people, and I am passionate about medicine and the body and all of that jazz. And so it makes sense for me to pursue a career in that area. And people, fear that they're not going to use their degree for something good, but what good has come out of my semester is with all my newfound inspiration. I started working on my supplement business with my friend, and it's really taken off, and I'm going to be able to, with my newfound inspiration, I went into my chiropractor's office one day and told him how I feel about life and helping people and how the world is sick and sad and I can help them. And he is opening a wellness center in the coming year, and he's offered me to be a part of that and to teach yoga there. So I am so excited. I am going to be quitting my full-time job here at the end of this month. I'm starting yoga teacher training in June. It's a intensive 3-week course, and I'm going to be doing my my supplement business and my yoga, and I'm going to finally be working less and schooling more. And I've come to terms with not having all the money in the world, but for one, if I do want to pursue a career in health, how else am I supposed to get it if I'm not, focused in my schoolwork and focused in my education? And on top of that, I really realized that I have a good living situation. It's not too expensive, not too hard to keep up with. So I've just decided that if I can work and make what I need to just make my bills and to feed myself, and then actually focus on school, in light of hoping that I have a better future, then I want to do that. So anyway, I have found a new belief in myself. I've also decided that I've had this nagging feeling that I am supposed to do something better and I am supposed to be out there helping people. And I haven't been having those feelings for no reason. So I'm just going to kind of take a shot in the dark and act on those feelings that I'm having. But anyway, I have a picture here, and it just says it's got a sign, and it says the path less traveled, which was up here, and then the easy way, which is down here. So if I go the easy way, I stay in my 9 to 5, working 40 to 50 hours a week this summer. I'll be getting lots of money, and I don't really know what could happen in that time, but I know that I'll be carrying so much weight that's unnecessary, and I will be living according to everyone else's values. If I take the path less traveled, I know there's people out there that have helped me just from this semester. When you put your efforts out into the world, then people are there. If you start, living and being and proving yourself, then there are people out there that are watching that and that are there to lend a hand. So I've realized that. So I have people in my life that are willing to help me get where I need to go. Plexus Proud, it's a supplement company that I've fallen in love with. Be pursuing that a little bit. I will be teaching yoga. I will be living a life according to my health, my finances, my family, my friends, my time. It's not necessarily the money thing. I understand that this world revolves around money, but if I can have enough money to afford my roof over my head and the food in my mouth for now while I finish school, that's good enough for me. So anyway, I still don't know if I do this and after the summer, who knows what's going to happen. Either way, I don't know. I just see myself being a whole lot happier if I take this route. As you can see, I have hills and valleys. There's hills and valleys and hills and valleys and hills and valleys, no matter which path I take. So it's the matter of if I want to do the hills and valleys with the weight and with the, feeling that I'm living for others, or if I want to take the hills and valleys on, headstrong because I'm living for myself. So holistic health, it's multifaceted, and it's about finding balance in all of them. Just breathe. It's probably my new favorite quote. No matter in times of stress, in times of joy, in times of sadness, one thing that we will always have is our breath, and I've realized that. So I'm just going to leave you guys with this. One of my favorite quotes is, all stress, anxiety, depression is caused when we ignore who we are and start living to please others. My biggest takeaway for this class was that we really do, we each have, I have my own natural and innate abilities that can be used to better this world. And it's my choice if I want to tap into those or not. So I'll be taking care of myself, and I'll be taking care of those around me. And it just gives me a better, bigger feeling overall.